anything that doesn't feel like a 10 out of 10 is wrong. It's got to be wrong. If it feels like a 9 out of 10, it's wrong. And when you start operating like that, it's so easy to filter out all the BS. You're no longer okay with good enough. Like, I guess this is as good as it's gonna get. That is not life. Everything good happens in a car, you know? Yeah. I just feel like cars are the best conversation places. Like, I have always had my most intimate conversations in a car. I feel like it's just a universal thing. Cars are just a safe space. Anyways, okay. It's either a hell yes or a hell no. When you decide to start living your life like this and you realize that you need to stop operating from a lack mindset, because the only reason that you would entertain a hell no, or the only reason you would entertain a maybe, like he's not great, but he's not amazing, the only reason you would entertain those kind of people is because you don't believe there's an abundance of the right person out there. And whether that's relationships, friendships, career paths, like even for career paths, and it's okay for it to change. My bronzer isn't blended. What you're engaging in needs to be a hell yes. And that even goes for emotions. Do not allow yourself to entertain any emotions that don't feel like a hell yes. Like sadness, jealousy, anxiety. And it's not, you can't just go from like black to white, right? It's a progression, and you have to be gentle with yourself. But I think we all have a really high tolerance for negative emotion, and when you start getting just the slightest semblance of negative emotion, that is your sign that you're moving in the wrong direction. That is your sign that you need to take a step back. You need to reevaluate, even for emotions, for relationships, for friendships, for careers, for everything. It's either a hell yes or a hell no. If it feels like a maybe, if it feels like it's something I could drag myself through if I had to, that's not the right path for you, or that's not the right person for you. And the only reason you will entertain that is because you don't believe that you can have anything that you want, be anything that you want. That's a lack mindset, and it's really dangerous to be in a lack mindset, because you start shrinking your dreams. You start dreaming smaller. This is one of my favorite Henry Ford quotes. Whether you think you can or can't, either way, you are right. Big dreams and small dreams take the same amount of time. If you work 8 hours, however many hours you work, you can either designate those hours to a bigger dream or a smaller dream, right? Nothing is harder or easier. It's all just, moving towards it. And again, I don't like to use the word work, because I really like to describe it as being in a flow state. Like, even me vlogging, this is not work for me. Like, this is something that pours out of me without me even trying. Like, I don't plan my vlogs, I don't do anything. I'm just like, oh my god, I have something to say, and then I'll like whip out my camera. But for some people, vlogging might be work, and that means you don't do it. Only do the things that feel so amazing. And it's either a hell yes or a hell no. Because when you live your life like that, you stop entertaining the mediocre. You stop shrinking yourself. You start expanding your ideas of what you can have. You're no longer okay with good enough. Like, I guess this is as good as it's gonna get. That is not life. It's either you love it or you hate it, and don't allow any in-between feelings. Like, when you are feeling a negative emotion, that is not something that feels good. You know that. It's definitely not a hell yes, right? We have this idea of we have to make ourselves feel bad for things that are going wrong. If you didn't accomplish this thing you wanted to accomplish by whatever milestone, you feel like it makes sense to put yourself in a state of shame and beat up on yourself. And that's not the case at all. It's actually very counterproductive. We're taught to be hard on ourselves because that'll make us work harder, that'll make us strive harder. Scientifically proven that being gentle with yourself, being calm, being peaceful is when you're in the most productive state. If you are in a negative mindset where you're just like, you're rushing, you're upset with yourself, those feel bad. So don't engage in those feelings. Praise yourself for all the things you have done right, even if it's just one. And then maybe after you think of one, you can think of two and three. Everything is a reach. It doesn't just go day and night, you know? You have to feel for an emotion that feels a little better, and then find one that feels a little better, and one that feels a little better. But like each step you take on the ladder is, and then you finally get to that high emotion that you want to get to. Don't allow yourself to entertain negative emotions because you've been brainwashed into thinking that being hard on yourself makes sense. Speaking to yourself aggressively makes sense. Nothing in the world happens like that, you know? Even the way the grass grows, the grass isn't beating up on itself and saying you've got to hurry and rush. You don't. You're okay. Trying to do that is actually very counterproductive. If rushing doesn't feel good, don't do it. If trust yourself, you have to be able to listen to your emotions, understand that your heart already knows what you're supposed to spend your time on and what you're supposed to be doing in this world. And you know, so many people are really confused about, oh my god, like, what is my purpose? Why am I here on this planet? The way to figure that out is to reach for something that feels good and feels fun and feels like light and joy, and that is what you're supposed to do. And then if that feels good for a little bit, feels good for 5 minutes, then feel for something that feels even better. Your purpose on this earth is to have as much fun and joy as you possibly can. You need to know if you're moving in the right direction or wrong direction. All negative emotion is telling you, hey, you're moving in the wrong direction. So your purpose in life is to do things that make you feel good. Your purpose in life is to do things that feel fun and feel enjoyable, and something you would do it even if no one paid you for it, you know, because it's so much fun for you. It's something that just pours out of you. So I think that's also plays into the whole hell yes or hell no thing, because when you're in that state, it feels like the strongest, most fun hell yes. People have managed to make careers out of everything. You can even make a career out of partying. So who's to say that's wrong? If that's what's so fun for you, just keep doing it, and I'm sure it'll figure itself out. Just have lots of fun. That really is how we're supposed to operate. You know that when you're born. You look at kids know that they are supposed to be having fun right now. Like, they know this is supposed to be a good time. It's like that. Kids get that. As you grow up, people tell you, hey, life is supposed to be hard, life is supposed to be a struggle. And it feels wrong in your teenage years. It feels wrong when they tell you that, because you're like, why would I ever subscribe to that? Because that sounds miserable. It's because it's just not true. And your soul knows that. Your soul knows that you're supposed to be happy, you're supposed to be free, you're supposed to be joyful, you're supposed to feel fun. That's why you were put on this earth, to have so much fun feeling and touching and experiencing. You know, experiencing bad things is good for you because it allows you to know that you want to experience this good thing. Or even when you're in a bad situation, focus on the positive things, right? Focus on the fact that you're healthy. Focus on the fact that you have the ability to walk, that you have vision, that you have hearing. You know, there's so many things that you can always be grateful for. When you focus on the positive, that those emotions feel really good to you, and that is a hell yes. My go-to phrase, because I will have friends come to me with relationship problems and stuff. And I'm like, it's either a hell yes or a hell no. Because here's the thing with friends, with dating, it's like shopping. What if you don't like it in the dressing room, if you're a little iffy about it in the dressing room in the store, you're gonna go home and you're gonna like hate it and you're never gonna wear it. So if you don't like it at the beginning, it's only going to get worse. If you feel iffy about that friendship, it's only going to get worse. If you feel iffy about that relationship, it's only going to get worse. When you first meet someone, they're really showing you the absolute best version of themselves. And if you don't like the first impression, imagine what the seventh impression is going to be like, right? So the problem is you get emotionally attached. It's harder and harder for you to let that person go, even though the behavior is declining, because if you didn't like the first impression, the more comfortable they feel around you, the more open they are with you, the less you're going to like what you see. At some point, you're just going to get numb to it because you've trained yourself to be okay with, I don't love it, but I don't hate it. It's mediocre. It's okay. And you engage in those feelings and you're okay with life feeling okay. That dangerous path of having that lack mindset, not thinking that you can have anything in the world that you want, not operating in abundance, and really just settling because you don't think it exists. The only reason you would entertain a hell no friend, a hell no career, a hell no friendship, a hell no anything is because you don't think there's a hell yes. There always is, but I think it's that Wayne Dyer phrase. He says, you'll see it when you believe it. If you don't believe it, you're never going to see it. So you'll see it when you believe it. So you really, really have to operate in a way where the world is ready to hand you everything on a silver platter. It really, really is. But you have to say no to the bad stuff and stand firm in your belief that your life is going to be the best. You're going to have the most amazing experience. You're going to have the most beautiful experience. And anything that doesn't feel like that, anything that doesn't feel like a 10 out of 10 is wrong. It's got to be wrong. If it feels like a 9 out of 10, it's wrong. And when you start operating like that, it's so easy to filter out all the BS. You don't feel like you're in this horrible middle ground that you don't enjoy, that feels mediocre, that feels like a half life, you don't want that feeling. It's either hell yes or hell no. Live your life by that. Live your life by that, and that allows your GPS to strengthen itself, your internal GPS, your emotional GPS to strengthen itself, and your life gets so much better because you start trusting yourself more, you start listening to your emotions more, because your body knows what you need, and it's different for everyone, but your body knows what you need, and you push out all the other opinions, strengthen that internal GPS, and your body will thank you, because your body already knows what's not for you, but you've raised your pain tolerance so much that you're okay with having 5 out of 10 friendships. You're okay with having 5 out of 10 relationships. You're okay with having a 5 out of 10 career because you've raised your pain tolerance. But when you operate on hell yes or hell no, there's no room in the middle for bad. You only allow pristine. You only allow the best of the best of the best. And that allows you to create a life of the best of the best of the best. So just stop entertaining things that aren't a hell yes. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. It really, really is. And it'll change your life, I promise. Love you.